Hey, Life Group leaders, it's Mike Sharrow, and I've been hearing a lot of questions coming out about the Soul Revolution 6060. We've been talking about it for so long, and suddenly it's staring us in the face. It starts in less than a week, so I hope you're excited and I hope you're ready. But I've been hearing more and more questions, and so I wanted to make sure that you all had all those answers before you, so that when your group meets next week and this 6060 journey begins, that you're absolutely ready for everything that's facing you. So let's just recap a couple different things in case you've been traveling or missed any of the announcements over the past 2 months. First of all, the 6060 involves a sermon series. So Jeff's going to start a new series on February 1st, next Sunday. That's going to begin this 2-month movement about seeking God in new ways. And his sermon will be slightly based upon the Soul Revolution book, and what he'll be closing with is instructions for everyone at Grace Point to set their watches to go off every 60 minutes during this movement, and he'll give them something to focus on. So for instance, next week, he'll close with something saying, your prayer, every time your watch beeps, your phone vibrates, or whatever you're using, is just going to be, God, I'm willing. I'm willing to put my desires forward and seek your desires in my life. It's nice and simple. The second week, he's going to say, I'm ready. Are we ready for God to do in us what he wants to do? And there'll be similar movements throughout the 2-month period. So that's going to be happening on Sundays, and it'll be synchronized with the movements you'll be doing in your studies and as a leader as you're reading the book. Which brings me to my next point, questions about the Soul Revolution book. As I mentioned, I went ahead and invested in getting copies of this for you as a leader. The way the study works is everyone who takes the study does not have to read the book. So if people aren't readers, they don't have time, or it's just not something they can fit in, that's fine. They'll have a great experience not reading the book. But you as a leader need to be reading along at the pace that it describes in your leader guide. And it's usually 2 or 3 chapters a week, and it's filled with really just worshipful transformation stories. So you should have already gotten that. If you did not get one as a leader, then let me know. Now, if someone else in your group wants to read along, and I certainly encourage them, it's a great way to enrich their experience, then we're getting those at a discounted price of $10 a piece. And we're going to have them for sale for a limited time in the lobby. It's cheaper than Amazon, cheaper than anywhere else, so we're happy we can make them available. But again, that's an optional thing that would be at additional cost. Now, the real question is, how does this structure work? Well, you should have gotten 2 resources. One is the Leader's Guide, and then there's a very similar looking one that says the Running Partner Guide. The nature of this study involves not just having large group discussion, but actually breaking up into groups of 2 to 4. 3 is kind of a perfect little triad number, and those people during the 8-week period will have some accountability. They'll be connecting with each other and sharing in their experiences of what's God done in your life as you've sought him out every 60 minutes for the past week, and what have you struggled with? What have you celebrating? And there'll even be nights where when you get together as a group, you may open it up and read an excerpt from the book or pray and do whatever you normally do in terms of fellowship or food, but then you'll break up around your living room or around the house in groups of 3 or 4 and actually do discussion. And so one of these running partner guides will need to be copied for each of your triads. And then whoever's leading the discussion that night will need this. Now, this is a great opportunity if your group's been established for a while, or even not. It's not teaching. This is going to be a study where whoever's got this is really facilitating discussion. And it's got everything laid out from recommended prayer focuses to passages you'd have people look at and respond to. But really what it's getting at is trying to take that 60-60 experience and flesh it out a little bit. Go, okay, well, let's look at what God's Word says about this subject. Let's hear how God has used this time in your life, and let's collectively share in that as a community. So that's really the focus. Something to also know is that you as a leader can modify it a little bit. As you look through this guide, you'll notice that it typically plans 90 minutes of group time. And for some of you, that's just not realistic, or your format's different. Well, you can pare things down. So when you see 5 or 6 questions, you can choose just the top 1 or 2 that you think would work best for your group. So you're free to modify that to fit your time constraints. But be creative, and the focus again is not to mechanically implement this, but to use this as a way of driving that 60-60 experience even deeper. The other question I've heard is, the first week it says introduction week. What's that all about? Well, this is a different format, so whether you're a brand new group meeting for the first time, or you've been meeting for a couple years now, this is probably going to be a different kind of study. Its tempo is different, and the intro week is a time for you to kind of reorient, get to know any new couples who are joining, look through the material, explain, here's what's coming up ahead, here's expectations, make sure everyone's got a timer or a beeper or something, because if they don't have that, they're not really going to get much out of the experience. and then to go ahead and identify who those groups of 2 to 4 people will be, because they'll stay the same throughout. And then the rhythm will be that intra-week you're all together. The very next week you'll get together, but the whole discussion time will be in separate groups. And again, the only reference to soul revolution is going to be, sometimes it'll say, tell you what, now's a good time for you as a leader to read a quote from page 129, or how about you read the explanation that the author gives on this page. And you can copy that if you want, or you can just read it to them at that time. But again, it's a nice to have, but not a must have, depending upon how your group is structured. I'd encourage you to really take the time to look ahead, especially just given how new this is compared to some of the studies we've done before. The sooner you as a leader kind of look through and see the way it flows and see the way it's structured, the less anxiety you'll have, and the better equipped you'll feel to kind of walk your people through it. And again, it's a fun opportunity to stretch and maybe have someone else in your group who doesn't normally lead say, well, tell you what, how about you next week lead our time? Because I mean, they don't have to prepare in the sense of reading and researching a lesson. They just need to know what's coming and guide the group through that. So it's a great opportunity to use the different gifts in your body of your life group as everyone seeks growing in Christ. Again, I'm excited about what this study represents for our community. I look forward to the radical transformation stories this will result in, and how this will coincide with the one movement as we're seeking that God make us one so that the world may know. Well, the 66 is going to be a powerful way of bringing that even to a further realization in your life and in the lives of the people who gather in your home. So I'm excited for you. If you've got additional questions, call me, email me. I'm here for you, and we'll be running through this race together. So God bless.